This meeting of the Senate Judiciary Committee will come to order. Today we are considering 2 judicial nominees and 1 U.S. Marshal nominee. We'll also call up for consideration S-2220, the PREVAIL Act, sponsored by Senators Coons and Tillis, and co-sponsored by Senator Hirono and myself, and S-4713, the IDEA Act, sponsored by Senators Hirono and Tillis, co-sponsored by Senators Coons, Blumenthal, Padilla, Klobuchar, Grassley, and myself. I will reserve my comments on the bills until we reach that item on the agenda. I now turn to the ranking member, Lindsey Graham, for any opening remarks before we start. Before turning to the bills we will be voting on, I understand Senator Tillis would like to make a statement about S-2140, the Patent Eligibility Restoration Act.
Yes, Mr. Chair. We've done some. We've had some discussions with members. We feel like we're making good progress, but for the purposes of the markup, I will be withdrawing it from consideration. What I will say, Mr. Chair, is that both on PERA and PREVAIL, we are making great progress. We are seeing it move closer to a markup than ever before. It's going to get marked up, so those who may be trying to undermine progress of either PERA or PREVAIL need to get at the table before they get on the table. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Senator Tillis. Today we're also considering S-2220, the PREVAIL Act, and I call on Senator Coons.
Thank you, Chair Durbin, and I'd like to thank my colleague, Senator Tillis. We have worked hard on this bill that makes reforms to the Patent Trial and Appeal Board for many years. I have heard from 2 different members who have asked for us to delay the vote so that they can continue to discuss with me and with Senator Tillis potential amendments that would bring them to support it. Senator Cruz has amendments about making the PTAB process fairer for small and independent inventors. Senator Blackburn has asked for more time for consideration. And I just want to thank and compliment several of my colleagues, our colleagues, Senators Welch and Blumenthal and Klobuchar, who have been leaders in the fight to restrain and reduce the cost of prescription drugs. They had concerns that PREVAIL's standing requirement might prevent generic competitors and patient advocates from using the PTAB to challenge patents, and I was happy to work with them to address those concerns, add amendments that addressed those issues. And so there's a manager's amendment that I hope to move forward at our next markup. I do not think we should take this vote today, both because of attendance issues and because of the 2 members who've expressed concern that they would like to support it, but they are not yet prepared to. I am open to talking to any member who'd like to nerd out on IP standing and litigation. I have found many of you eager to have long and detailed conversations about patent procedure and policy. But I will say this. There is some significant misrepresentation going on about what happens at PTAB. 18 of the 20 largest litigants are from big tech who use it to invalidate properly granted patents. And Mr. Chairman, I appreciate your steadfast support of this bill over a number of Congresses, and I look forward to marking it up at our next meeting.
Thank you, Senator Coons. The remaining item on the agenda this morning is S-4713, the IDEA Act, which provides for the collection of information that helps us better understand the barriers inventors face in accessing the patent system. I recognize Senator Hirono.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. And this committee has a track record of working in a bipartisan way to approach various issues regarding PTO, and this is another of those bills. So I thank you for this time, and I'm happy that we are considering the IDEA Act today. This bill passed out of this committee and on the floor last Congress with strong bipartisan support. And this bill will direct the Patent and Trademark Office, PTO office, to collect certain demographic data from patent applicants on a confidential and voluntary way. So the reason for this bill is simple. In 2018, we passed, and President Trump signed Senator Grassley's Success Act, which required the PTO to study and report on participation by women, minorities, and veterans in the patent system. I mean, frankly, the idea being that we want to encourage as much participation in the patent system as possible as we compete with countries like China. So the PTO released its report in 2019, and one of its most important findings was that it did not have access to precise enough data to really answer those questions in the Grassley bill. For example, the PTO was forced to guess the gender of inventors based on their first names, and that might work for names like Dick or Clark or Ted, but Corey and Lindsay are much tougher. And the PTO
I didn't
Moving
know
on.
that, but that's good.
I know, we have a Ted and we have a Corey, yes, there we go. And the PTO had no way of guessing, based on patent applicant names, whether an inventor was a veteran. And that is why the Success Act's report's top recommendation was legislation authorizing the voluntary confidential collection of this information from patent applicants. And we are considering that legislation today. We are in a global competition for innovation with other countries. Our success in that competition depends on harnessing all the talent that our society has to offer. Critically, the IDEA Act would permit the voluntary confidential collection of information in a way that has no impact on which applicants ultimately receive a patent. And the bill requires that the PTO keep collected demographic information separate from the patent application, and that it not be considered by patent examiners in considering patent applications. I want to thank Senator Tillis for joining me once again in championing this bill. He is a strong defender of American innovation and a consistent champion for IP rights. I also want to thank Senator Grassley, who is a co-sponsor, and as I said, whose Success Act gave rise to the idea for this bill in the first place. And the chair and Senators Coons, Blumenthal, Padilla, and Klobuchar for joining me as co-sponsors.
Mr. Chair?
Senator Tillis.
I just, actually a belated thank you to Senator Hirono. Yesterday, I thanked Senator Blackburn for all of her work on the subcommittee, and Senator Hirono as well. She's attended a lot of the committees, done a lot of work. And the IDEA Act, I believe that I believe in this theory that the inventors and leaders are evenly distributed amongst races, religions, creeds, ethnicities, and we've got to get to all of them. And the way that we do that is to find out how many are at the table now and what strategies can we implement to get more at the table. So I think this is another very positive step of several steps that I've followed Senator Hirono's lead on. So this is Happy Tom supporting the bill. Mad Tom's still mad, but that's a different transaction. I hope everybody supports this bill.
Any other senators seek recognition to speak or offer an amendment?
If I could briefly, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Coons.
I'd just like to join my colleagues in saying to Senator Hirono, thank you for your persistent and determined engagement in making sure that access to the Patent and Trademark Office, access to the opportunities to record and invent are as broadly distributed as are the skills and gifts of the American people. Thank you.
If no one else seeks recognition, let's vote on final passage. The clerk will call the roll on S 4713.
Mr. Whitehouse.
Aye.
Ms. Klobuchar. Aye. Mr. Coons.
Aye.
Mr. Blumenthal.
Aye.
Ms. Hirono.
Aye.
Mr. Booker.
Aye.
Mr. Padilla. Aye. Mr. Ossoff. Aye. Mr. Welch. Aye. Ms. Butler. Aye. Mr. Graham.
Aye.
Mr. Grassley.
Aye by proxy.
Mr. Cornyn.
Aye.
Mr. Lee.
No.
Mr. Cruz. No. Mr. Hawley. No. Mr. Cotton.
No by proxy.
Mr. Kennedy.
No by proxy.
Mr. Tillis. Aye. Mrs. Blackburn.
No by proxy.
Chair Durbin.
Aye.
Chair Durbin, on this vote, the ayes are 15, the nays are 6.
The bill will be favorably reported to the floor. Is there any further business to come before the committee? If not, the committee stands adjourned.